Welcome to the Farmerdale Podcast. Welcome to the Farmerdale Podcast. Welcome to the Farmerdale Podcast.
Well, welcome to the Farmerdale Podcast number 12. We've made it to number 12. Hey, I want to first say thank you to Hannah Thrasher for being on the podcast last week. She was phenomenal, and boy, I had a lot of people listen to her on YouTube and on all the podcast platforms. She may have been number two, right behind Farmer Jenny. But she did very well, and I want to thank Hannah again. She was fantastic. If you haven't listened to that one, go back a week, and you'll enjoy it. So, hey, I am flying solo today, and it's spring break for me, spring break for a lot of people. I know some of the public schools are not going on spring break for another week or maybe 2 weeks, but I've got some downtime. But it's probably going to be a pretty busy week anyway. But hey, I'm excited about the podcast today. We kind of went on a different direction since I'm flying solo today. But if you're listening just on any just normal podcast platform, you may want to jump over to YouTube, because today's going to be a little bit of a show and tell. So you may want to see what I'm actually talking about, or you can just listen and visualize what I'm talking about. But if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, whatever it may be, you may want to jump over to YouTube, because I do have some show and tell today. So that's going to be the first part. In the second part of our podcast today, I think I want to talk a little bit about sports and talk about what I think is wrong with sports. So we'll get into that in the second half. So the first part is going to be a little show and tell about gardening, of course, because this is the Farmerdale Podcast, and boy, we are hot and heavy into it. But the first thing I want to talk about is wisdom. I was talking to my students about this a couple weeks ago, or maybe even this past week, was about wisdom. How do we gain wisdom? What do we do with wisdom? Do people actually, as they age, do they actually become more wise? So the book of Proverbs actually talks a lot about wisdom, and I've got several of these little, not necessarily some are devotionals, but I got little books that I read through, and it may just have a thought for the day or something like that, and it's attached to a Bible verse, and it just kind of gets you thinking. I've got one of these at school. I've got one of these like this one right here actually sits by my bedstand, so I can jump into it a little bit. But when I decided to do fly solo today because my special guest couldn't come, I'm like, I remember me talking about wisdom, so let's talk about wisdom for a little bit. There's a lot of different style of wisdoms, and Proverbs is one of those, and this is what this book is. This book is called The Wisdom Challenge. I've read through most of this book, and most of it comes out of the book of Proverbs, and it's just challenging you. How do you become more wise is basically what the book talks about. It's by Dan Britton and Ron Forsyth. I guess that's how you pronounce his name. And the subtitle of it, Experience the Life-Changing Power of Proverbs. So this whole book is based on Proverbs. But Proverbs is a lot about wisdom. So the thing I want to talk about today is a very simple verse, and it's the very first thing. If Proverbs 13:20 says, "Walk with the wise and become wise." I was talking to our students about who you hang around is probably what you're going to become, or they can steer how you act, how you dress, what your thoughts are. All that stuff can play into your mindset. So I was telling them a lot of, and I think I was talking to our 8th graders, when they get to high school, boy, and our kids go to, because we stop in 8th grade at Woodland. So when they go into high school, they're going to be introduced to a lot of different things, a lot of new friends, activities, clubs, a few new sports that we don't have at Woodland. And they're going to have to make a lot of decisions on whether they do things the right way or do things the wrong way. And being wise is one of those things. This first part of the chapter here talks about, which I love, what kind of impact are you going to have? Let me get to it here. Growing together, having relationships with people. What are your relationships going to be like? My relationships have always kind of like they've been with like-minded people, the people that they kind of think like me. And some people say, well, that's not good. They're not challenging you. But I do have friends that do challenge me for sure, that have different views than I have. But here's another verse for you. It's in Proverbs 13:20. Walk with the wise and become wise. Associate with fools and get in trouble. Wow, that is profound right there. What is your impact? Do you want to have an impact? Or are you going to let other people impact you? That's huge. Farmer Jenny has impacted my life greatly. We've been dating since, or we started dating, whatever you want to call it, the dating that we did when we were 12 and 13. But we have impacted each other's lives. Most of the time in a good way, sometimes in a bad way. I'm trying to cut back on my sweets. Farmer Jenny keeps buying me more sweets because she wants me to be happy. And she thinks I'm happier when I'm eating Little Debbie's. And typically I am. But I need to cut back on those things. But how are people impacting you in a positive or negative way? You know, sometimes adults can be negative impacts on people. And as coaches and teachers, sometimes we can be negative impacts on people. All I've ever wanted was to try to steer people down the right path. I wanted them to do the right things, whether that's in a worldly way or whether that's a godly way. I wanted them to do the right things. So I think you cannot have a lot of wisdom without having relationships either. Had a lot of people in my life that have steered me down the right path. They've given me great advice. You should do this better. Do this better. I've become a better person. I've become a better teacher. I've become a better coach. I've become a better husband. I don't know if I'll become a better gardener, but all those things people have impacted me with, right? But what's your impact? What's your impact? That's real short. Wisdom is something that I know I'm smarter in a lot of different ways because of the experiences that I've had, and I've done things the wrong way, and I've tried to make them better. So hopefully you will have some wisdom. If you're young and you're listening to this, hey, find somebody who's going to speak into you, who's going to help you along the way. Not always agree with you, and that's really important. Having people that just don't always agree with you. I've had a lot of basketball players that's played for me that have not agreed with me. And some of them have come over at a practice or during a game at a halftime, and they're like, hey, I think you should do this, or I think the team needs to do this. I see this doing this. I think we should do that. They were wise. And there were a few times in my career, and I said, yes, we've got to make that change. And we did it, and it worked. Sometimes it didn't, but sometimes it did, right? So having people speak into you in whatever part of life you are, whether you're a new dad, whether you are a new husband, maybe you're a brand new Christian, you've got to have people in your life to help build you up. If not, it's going to be hard to become wise, because in the Bible it's very clear. You've got to have relationships, and you've got to walk with the wise and not the foolish. So that was a little bit of what I spoke to our students about in class the other day, and they got a lot of changes to make. So, okay, well, I hope that you are listening on. We're going to switch off. We're going to switch on to some little show and tell. If you're not watching on YouTube, you're missing out, but I'll do my best to describe what's been going on. Number one, on the farm, it gets expensive. And I had to go buy a new tiller. So I started researching. My previous tiller was a good tiller, had that thing for 8 years. I didn't necessarily take great care of it, I guess. I did the best I could. I'm not a real mechanical kind of guy. So I had to go buy a new tiller and got it home, went and picked it up Wednesday, got it home, got it all together and oiled up and gassed up. And Saturday morning, it was supposed to rain. And I thought, man, I got to try this thing out. I got to see what it's going to do. So I tilled for about an hour and a half before it started raining Saturday morning, because we got a lot of rain yesterday. So number one, I got the garden broken up, some of it anyway, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Lettuce, spinach, and tomatoes. That's what I got in front of you right now. That's what you're looking at. I got butter crunch lettuce, and this stuff's looking really healthy, really good. Hopefully we're going to be putting this outside. We're going to acclimate it to the weather outside. We kind of got some warm days. We got some cool nights still. So that's up and down, but the lettuce can take that. And we got some spinach right here. I love a spinach salad. I love just a regular lettuce salad too, but spinach is great. But these right here have been growing since the 21st, I think, I think I did the lettuce and the spinach on the 16th of February. So this has been growing for 3 weeks, going into its 4th week. We have fertilized it one time. We've given it a little bit of juice to help it get into it. If you look real closely, we got true leaves growing on all these, and that's what's really important. These are getting, the lettuce is growing a little bit faster than the spinach is growing, which is fine. We have never grown a lot of lettuce and a lot of broccoli, but we got a lot of it in the grow room right here, got a lot of it under grow lights, and it's growing really well. And then my favorite are tomatoes. These tomatoes, we seeded these out on the 21st. So they've been growing for right at 2 weeks now. And these are looking really good. They've got true leaves on them. We have not juiced them with any fertilizer yet. That will start this week, because I was trying to make sure that we got true leaves on all of those. But what's amazing about the tomato, the spinach and the lettuce, they've got no smell. None that I can smell anyway. They're pretty, no smell whatsoever. But these tomatoes, you get really close, and we're talking about a tomato plant smell. If you ever smelled those, you need to try it sometime. It's got a very strong smell. Part of that is because bugs don't like it. Bugs will stay away from that smell. And then you can also, if you look extremely close, I'm not going to show you here, but if you look extremely close, you can see that it's got little hairs on the stem. That's really important. We'll let these grow for another 4 weeks or so before we can put them in the ground. So these still have a good amount of time to go. But what's important about those hairs on that stem is that we will plant that tomato as deep in the ground as we possibly can. I'm sorry. Boy, I tell you what, it is warm up here in this grow room. We probably got it 78, 79 degrees right now, because we love for these plants to grow in warm temperatures. But anyway, so it's got hairs on the stem, and we'll plant that tomato as deep as we possibly can, depending on how big the plant is. It depends on how big that we, or how deep we plant those. There's a lot of different ways I've seen people plant them. People have planted them very shallow, but they plant them on the side and let those hairs, because those hairs will become more roots. And that's really important. To have a strong tomato plant, you need as many roots as you possibly can develop. And that's why we plant those really really deep. The other thing we've had going, I've got it turned off right now, but we have a fan, or a couple fans up here in the grow room that blow air and move air around the room. And what that does is that it creates an outside environment, a natural environment. We've got it hot, we've got it on lights, we've got moisture, we got water, and then we've got fertilizer, and then we've got a little bit of wind, because that wind is going to develop a stronger stem. And you want to have that strong stem, because once you put them outside and you get a windy day, you better have a strong stem on those tomatoes. Even though we're going to stake them and keep them strong that way too, still you need that stem to be as strong as possible. And giving it a a fake, real life as it is in your greenhouse, or if it's in your grow room, whatever it may be, you need that strong ability for it to grow. So we're excited about what we got going on here because the lettuce and the spinach are going to go out this week. And then we've also got potatoes. I didn't even get a potato to show you, but we got 3 different types of potatoes that we're going to plant this year. That's why we got out there in the garden to till up a plot for the lettuce and spinach and for the potatoes. And boy, I love a potato. Love a potato. I can eat potatoes any way. We grow a Yukon Gold potato, and I promise you, you can cook those bad boys up, and you don't need butter, you don't need pepper, you don't need anything. They're creamy good. Oh my word, they are so good. So the Yukon Gold is really good. So we'll get those in the ground. Hopefully this next week. It's supposed to rain a little bit, but today the sun is shining and it's warm. There's a beautiful view behind me today. So if you're not on YouTube, you're not getting to see this beautiful view that we got. So next is I saw my son yesterday, and him and my sister-in-law Bailey, they have chickens. We talked if you saw the podcast with him, you saw that they've got all their chickens named and all that kind of stuff. And my son is so excited about these chickens because they are laying eggs right now. It's getting warmer and they are laying eggs. And guess what we're going to be selling at the market? That's right. We're going to be selling Cole and Bailey eggs, fresh eggs at the market. And let me tell you, if you have never had a fresh farm-raised egg that has just been grazed in the hoop house and has been fed the best food that you can feed chickens, you are missing out. Let me show you one of these bad boys. I'm trying to figure out which one. That's kind of a light brown one. This one right here. Look how. Ooh, now these have not been refrigerated because they have not been cleaned. So if you don't know anything about fresh eggs, you don't have to put these into your refrigerator until you clean them and you wash them. You don't have to put them in there at all. These will last on just on your top of your kitchen counter for a couple of weeks without being refrigerated. I normally clean mine. I put them in the refrigerator just because that's what we've always done. But in reality, you really don't have to do that. So these have not been washed. But boy, these farm fresh eggs are tremendous. Got a good size to them. And let me tell you, the yolk. Ooh, it's yolk. Ooh. I love to eat a fried egg sandwich and I don't bust the yolk. So then I put it on my light bread. I put some cheese. I put some mayonnaise. And I've got me the perfect fried egg sandwich. Now the yolk is going to leak, and I normally have to get it over a towel or over a plate. And I'm eating this sandwich because it's so messy, but it is so good. But hey, we're going to be selling these eggs at the market coming up, and we may even start selling them before that because they're laying so many eggs, and they're going to get rid of them. But hey, I've got a whole carton of eggs here. They're so good. They are so good. Look at that. Look at that. That's right. So if you're not watching on YouTube, you missed out on that. And I'm sorry for that, but maybe you'll run over there and on YouTube and check it out. So hey, that's show and tell. Lettuce, spinach, and tomatoes and eggs. Sun is shining outside. Boy, it's going to be a great spring break. All right. So when I come back, we're going to talk about sports and kind of what I think is bad about sports right now. And you may disagree, and that's okay. That's okay. When we come back, after our sponsor, we're going to talk sports. We'll be right back. All right, today's episode is brought to you by Groome and Company. Dewey Dillard, he's your realtor. He serves the Memphis and surrounding areas, and he's been doing that since 1992. Wow, what have you done since 1992? Dewey works hard every single day to help his clients to sell their house, to find a new house for them, and he is a trusted expert. You've got to go find Dewey Dillard. You can call him at 901-218-1958. He's based right here in Arlington, Tennessee, and he can get your house sold, get you the best price for your house but also get you a good price on another house. Interest rates are coming down. The springtime is happening. It's warming up outside. It is time for you to sell or buy a house. Call Dewey Dillard today, 901-218-1958. Dewey will do you right. All right, welcome back to the Farmerdale Podcast. I told you we were going to jump into sports. Before we do that, I went and got a potato, and this is a Yukon Gold. It's a pretty big Yukon Gold. We'll take this potato. These right here, there's eyes on here, and you can tell if I showed you up close, there's a bunch of eyes, what we call eyes. So we'll take this one potato, and we'll probably cut this into 3 or 4 different pieces, and we'll plant this potato. So that's what the potato is. If you're not listening to us on YouTube, you better get over there and get back and start it from the very beginning. But anyway, so there you go. All right, so, oh yeah, check out the new hat. Got the new hat right here too. It's all black. It's all black. Richardson 12. You better go get you one on the Farmerdale merch store. But hey, let's talk sports now. Now we talked some vegetables, talk some sports. SEC basketball championship is this week, and then March Madness starts for college. We got high school, the private schools in Tennessee. They just finished up their state championships in basketball. And then the SEC, the colleges are about to start their SEC or their tournaments this week for conference tournaments. And then we get into March Madness, which is, my favorite time of the year. You're talking about some good TV, watching some good basketball. So Farmer Jenny loves her some Alabama basketball, let me tell you. She gets in there and she's like, what are y'all doing? They'll start playing bad and she'll start yelling at them. And I'm like, calm down there, Farmer Jenny. But anyway, let's talk about one thing that I think could be bad for sports, and I think a lot of people will disagree with me, and that is replay. I don't necessarily think that replay needs to happen in sports. I don't think that we ever thought that sports were supposed to be perfect. And I think that's what we're making it, or trying to make it anyway. I've coached elementary, I've coached middle school, I've coached high school. Never coached in college. Now my jobs may have depended on me winning and losing. I don't know. I've never fortunately have been fired for coaching. I got some friends that have been fired for coaching, but I don't necessarily they got fired for coaching because they were winning or losing. But I think college coaches and pro coaches and all that, we've tried to make it into be a perfect sport. Referees are human, coaches are human, players are human. They're all going to make a mistake. When a basketball game, a college basketball game lasts 2 hours, and it really should last an hour and a half, because we have to go to the replay to see if a ball went out of bounds or who hit the ball out of bounds. I know that some games could be, especially at the end of a game, that one decision or one bad decision or one bad call could change the outcome of that game. I totally get that. I understand that. I've had multiple games when I'm yelling at a referee and I'm like, that's not right. That's not fair. You called the wrong call. But I don't know if the replay is the right option. Because now it seems like we replay everything. There's either the referee watching the replay, there's either somebody in another city watching the replay, there's somebody at the scores table watching the replay. I don't know. I've gone to several Alabama basketball games this year, and it seemed, and here's the main reasons I think it messes up the game. I think it messes up the game because it messes up the flow of the game. One team could be just rocking it out, and all of a sudden, whistle blows, and game stops. And then for 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes, we've got humans trying to determine whether this ball went out or did not go out on somebody. And it took them 5 to 8 minutes to figure that out. There's been some football games where it took them forever to figure out what the replay was. And in my mind, they still got it wrong. Now, you may disagree because you want sports to be perfect. You want it to be fair. You want it to be right for everybody. But I'm like, let's just play the game. When I played the game, there was no replays. We played the game. Whatever happened, happened. We don't get a replay in life. We don't. I made this decision today. I'll get another chance, and these kids will get another chance too, unless it's the last ball game they'll ever play. They'll get another chance. They'll get next year. They'll get the next team. This is not live and die. I just think it's messed up the entire game. Some games are very hard to watch. Very hard to watch. And we're talking about kids are more athletic. They jump higher. They run faster. They shoot better than ever before. Kids are putting in more work than ever before to be the best athlete they possibly can be. And then we mess up their athletic ability in the flow of the game because some person and some group of people decided that there's got to be a change and we've got to make sports perfect. I don't think that. I just saw it today. I was watching the women's championship game on TV, and they had to stop the game, and it just messed up the flow of the game. I've seen teams lose that were winning, and they lost right after that. They messed it up. Now, you get timeouts. Coaches get timeouts. Coaches can change the flow of the game by calling a timeout. It's huge. We use that all the time. We're getting beat. Call the timeout. Somebody's shooting a free throw. We call a timeout. We freeze them at the free throw line. We make them think about it. Whatever it may be. That's part of the game. And that's always been part of the game. But us trying to make the game perfect and get every call correct, come on. If we did that, then every call, every bit of the game needs to be reviewed. And that just drives me crazy. I hope that they never bring that into high school, middle school, and elementary. I hope that never happens. Because if they do, I'm just not going to be able to coach. I just can't. I understand why Coach Saban got out of coaching. He was in front of the President Trump and trying to get him and his thoughts about what's wrong with college sports. One thing he said was very important. He said nobody has said anything about education to these kids. Now it's all about how much money they're going to make and how much they're going to go. And are we going to tax them on that money? The state of Mississippi just came out and said we're not going to tax the NIL money. It's money. Y'all tax everything else. Why is that not being taxed? But anyway, that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother podcast that I need to have some conversations with some other coaches with at some point. But the replay I think's messed up the sport, and I hate that. I hate it greatly. But you may disagree, and you may think that's perfect because you want the perfect game. You want baseball to be perfect. Every time somebody throws the ball to second base, was he out or was he safe? We got to go review that. That messes up the flow of the game because the pitcher's trying to get a rhythm. And if you mess that rhythm up, that could really mess up the game. Don't like it. But that's the way it is. Just the way it is. There's a whole lot of other things I don't like about sports and youth sports and AAU this and all this stuff. I don't know. I just don't know. But hey, if you have a comment, leave that comment in my comment section and I'll try to respond back to you, or email me at farmerdalepodcast.com and I will try to respond back to you and we'll get a conversation, because I would love to get conversations going. Because like I started out at the very beginning of my podcast today about being wise, I can't be wiser unless I understand what other people are thinking or what I'm thinking. So there you go. Well, hey, it's been a great podcast today. It's a little shorter today, which some of you are probably great about. Show and tell has been great. The spinach, the lettuce, the tomatoes, the potatoes, and the eggs are looking good. Sun's shining. I hope it shines all week so I can get some more stuff done in the garden. But I think it's supposed to rain a little bit. We need that rain, of course. God's going to take care of us. In His timing, we'll get it all done. But hey, hope y'all have a great week. Hope y'all go to the merch store too. Go to the merch store, buy you a hat. These are the brand new t-shirts. It's got the logo on the back. These are great t-shirts. Comfort colors, nice and soft. Going to keep its color. It's going to be good. So anyway, if you are on spring break, I hope you have a great spring break. Hopefully next week we'll have a guest and special guest, so you don't have to listen to me, because most of you probably turned it off and said, I'm not listening to him. He doesn't have a special guest on here, so that's okay. Whatever. Hey, hope y'all are awesome. Have a great week, and we'll see y'all next time. Farmer Dale.